Hello everyone and welcome to Supernova Live. I'm James McElroy from Adidas Running, broadcasting live tonight from London. Tonight our studio audience is all of you guys at home, so on behalf of Wiggle and Adidas, a massive thank you. Coming up, we're going to be sitting with two all-time Olympic greats. These brothers, in 104 years, were the first siblings to finish on the podium together. That happened at the London 2012 Olympics. It then happened in the Rio 2016 Olympics. It is, of course, unless you didn't guess, Alistair and Johnny Brownlee. So it's been a massive year for the guys, so if you have got any questions, get them coming in. We'll be checking the comments below, and so get those questions in. After that, it's the reason why we're all here this evening. It's the live launch of the new Supernova shoe, pardon me, it's the accent. And who better than Angus Wardlaw, Adidas Innovation Futures Director. So Angus is going to walk us through the shoe later on this evening. And celebrating the launch of the shoe, Wiggle has gifted 4 free pairs to 4 lucky commenters. So if your question gets on tonight, you will receive a free pair of shoes from Wiggle. So without further ado, let's go and chat to the boys. Guys, welcome to London.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So I want to start in Cozumel in Mexico. Obviously, it turned out to be an iconic moment in British sport with Ali, you helping Johnny over the line due to heat exhaustion. But on a more serious note, how do you guys both prepare for those extreme weather conditions?
Well, firstly, thank you for starting there, starting with Cozumel. But yeah, basically there's 2 ways to prepare for the hot conditions like that. There's the artificial way, which involves heat chambers, a bit of sauna work, or there's the second way, which is actually going to somewhere hot. It sounds very simple. So for Rio and for Cozumel, I prepared very differently for both. So for Rio, we were in San Moritz at altitude on a training camp, and obviously in San Moritz it can get hot, but not hot enough. So we spent a lot of time in saunas. So the idea for that was we do a hard training session, we put lots of warm clothes on. I went in the sauna for 30 minutes once our body temperature was already high, and kind of practiced keeping it high. And that actually worked really well. And then for Cozumel, I tried the other technique, which is go somewhere hot. And I was in Florida for 2 weeks before, training in the quite similar conditions to Cozumel, and that didn't work as well. So I've kind of experienced both sides of it this year, and one going well, one not going so well. And there might be other reasons why the last one didn't go very well. Maybe I was tired after a long season. But in Rio, from the sauna work and the other heat chamber work, I actually was prepared very, very well for the heat, and it all went well.
So then, if we flick the coin and look at the other side, you obviously did very well in the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, where the temperatures you think aren't just like Rio. So did your preparation change much for that, or?
Well, Rio is obviously kind of its own case, really, because the Commonwealth Games is a big deal, and we prepared and trained hard for it, but didn't really train for any specific conditions. Rio, when we sat down a year before, the fact that it was going to be hot was, right at the top of the list of things that we needed to make sure we prepared for. So that became a major deal. And so, yeah, we thought, right, we need to be as fit as we can, do all the training we can. So we stand on the start line, really, really fit, obviously, and ready to race. But on top of that, and part of that included going to altitude. But on top of that, it was like, right, how can I be best prepared for the heat? And we decided, like Johnny said, out of the 2 ways to do it, we decided to do it the kind of more artificial way, I guess, training lots of clothes, spending a lot of time sat in saunas, which isn't as fun as it sounds. It's really not very fun.
It's not bad, but yeah.
After you've just done a maximum session and you have to spend half an hour in the sauna, the first 10 minutes is quite nice. You sit there and relaxed, and then it gets really uncomfortable quickly after that. Anyway, and then we had 2 weeks in Brazil in the warm weather, actually before the Olympics. So by the time that Rio came around, I actually think we were really quite well adjusted to the heat.
So then, taking this to footwear, how important it is having consistent footwear in terms of fit, feel and transition when you're faced with these extreme conditions at either end of the spectrum?
Consistent footwear is obviously really important. You know, you train really, really hard day in, day out, and so you're using it day in, day out in terms of the footwear when you're training. And we use a massive range of different Adidas shoes for running on the road, different stuff for sessions, and the Adios off-road shoes and the XT. And so, you know, you want to be able to throw on a different pair of shoes every day, and for them not to let you down. You know, you're not getting blisters, or they're not the wrong size, or any of that kind of thing. So it's fantastic. You got, you know, a really reliable product. And then the performance side of it, obviously that's where it really matters. You want to be able to put that shoe on and run as well as you can, whether it's really cold conditions or really hot conditions. And they both bring their own problems in triathlon, because when it's hot, obviously your feet tend to swell a little bit, and also you end up putting a lot of water over yourself to cool yourself down. And wet feet in shoes tends to make your feet rub a bit. So it's really important to have shoes that you get used to wearing and then perform as well as they can, you know, in all these conditions.
So, thanks, Ali. Angus, from your side, from the Adidas design and engineering perspective, how does our footwear hold up to these extreme conditions?
Well, I mean, first of all, we want to ensure that our world-class athletes, like the guys here, that there's nothing hindering them being able to achieve their top performance. So, you know, they're working in extreme environments, and we've got to ensure that our product is the last thing you have to worry about. So what we do is we actually have a lot of temperature controlled chambers in our headquarters where we can test product in any condition on Earth. So we can drop it as cold as -20 or -30, I believe. And we can even increase it up to 45, 50 degrees.
That'll be a cold triathlon at -20.
Exactly. And
how hot do you have to get it before it starts melting?
Much, much hotter than that. But I think
You wouldn't want to be in there, would you?
exactly. Well, I think
I might try it in my oven later.
it's usually our party trick when we bring people to headquarters. We put it down to -20 and see how long people can last. But I think one of the key things that we've worked on with Boost was really that it doesn't change performance over temperature with the same degree as EVA. So EVA is what we've been using in footwear, and every other brand has been using in footwear for the last 25 years. And unfortunately, when it gets cold, and actually I looked today, it's -9.7 degrees was the coldest temperature in the Brecon Beacons, I believe. And at -10, which is very similar, like EVA gets about 60 to 70% stiffer. That means the flexibility is totally different.
You can feel that in EVA shoes. The sole gets hard in cold weather. It feels like it's hard on the ground. And
exactly.
Yeah.
So the loading on your joints, the loading on your muscles is going to be different. So with Boost, it also gets stiffer when cold, but it's only about 15%. So the key thing for us is that it's much, much more consistent. So it doesn't cause you any problems. And I think on the other end, when you go much higher, really, really high, 35, 40 degrees, it's also the same thing. The EVA gets a lot softer, and Boost changes only by a very, very small amount. And essentially what that means is if you buy a shoe at 20 degrees in a running store, you want to make sure that that shoe works no matter where you use it, whether it's Rio, Glasgow, Mexico. So that's one key part. I think the other key technology we have is the Continental rubber, and we were talking about that earlier. When you asked for something special for Rio.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, it's the Olympic Games, leave no stone unturned and all that, prepare for all eventualities. And Rio's a city, and obviously there's lots of kind of oil and stuff on the roads, and I was really worried that if it did rain on that day, or even kind of wet from the water stations or showers if they had used them, actually the road would get really slippy. And on some of the traditional soles where they've got, what do you call the small spec, like the, you know, on the soles where it's just the
DSP.
small, is all it is,
DSP,
yeah. They can get quite slippy if in the wet. They're fantastic in the dry, but a bit slippy on the wet on really kind of slick tarmac. So I had to go back to Adidas and say, can you make me some wet weather shoes for Rio, please? And the solution to that is putting more of the Continental, which is the really grippy rubber on the front end of the shoe. So it grips amazingly. It's like running with spikes on, you know, you put your foot on the tarmac and it just stays there.
But it was dry for the race, so
Yeah.
But the Continental rubber is absolutely incredible. We've come from the side of running on road, obviously in the slippy tarmac, and off road when you think you need a sole which you're going to dig into the ground and dig into the mud, but also you need a sole that when you're going on the wet rock, it's going to grip as well. And the Continental is incredible for that. So when you run on the moors, you don't fall over anymore.
We use it in our tyres as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing, and that's the whole
So it's
point.
literally a tire on your feet.
Yeah, exactly, and that was the whole point. I mean, we decided to partner with one of the best companies in the world. We've got a lot of experience with car tyres and your bike tyres.
Yeah.
And basically worked with them to create the best rubber in the industry. So it has even this better grip in wet than a lot of the other competitor rubbers in dry. So for us, it's all about making sure the last thing you worry about is our product.
Well, that's true for our tyres, for example. I know you can refer it back to the shoe, but the Continental tyres, we know that I can go into the corner quicker than the guy next to me who's not got them, even when it's wet. And that's really strong to know that. And you take the shoe, you know you're not going to slip on the road, so that's great.
So I guess we've talked a bit about footwear. For everyone back home, and I guess for us as well, what goes into a typical, so say we're 3 months out from Rio, we're in your base or your preparatory phase of training, what goes into a normal day? Or it's not a normal day, what goes into your day in terms of training?
So every day in our training week is a bit different. It all adds up to about 35 hours of training. It's about between 20 and 25 kilometres of swimming, between 500 and 700 kilometres of bike riding, and up to about 120, maybe a little bit more kilometres of running. And that's split, some days, like a Wednesday is a very long aerobic day, so hour and a half of swimming, about an hour run, 4 hours on the bike, and a run after that in the evening as well. So, but very steady state aerobic training compared to some other days, which Tuesday and Thursdays are more based around really kind of tough specific sessions. So hard swimming sessions in the morning and hard running sessions or bike running sessions in the evening. So every day is a bit different. Weekends, obviously, training 7 days a week, and on top of that, quite regular massage, physio, and gym as well to look after your body.
So you've got quite a big support team, I'm guessing?
Yeah, we've got a very big support team. I think, like all athletes at Olympic level, really, you stand on the start line, but you have a lot of people behind you who've helped to get you there. We're almost day in, day out, we work with a few different coaches, physios, masseurs, a strength and conditioning coach, and then other things as and when we need it, like physiology, nutrition, etc.
Well, you mentioned the Olympics there, so I'm going to ask you a few questions on the Olympic Games now, because obviously everyone here would love to know what you see as opposed to what we see, because we're watching BBC 3 and then or BBC 4, and then we turn over and watch you guys, so it's a very, very different experience. But the first question I want to ask you, Ali, was I read somewhere that you keep your medals in the sock drawer. Is that right?
I did. I've actually put them in the safe.
You've lost one now, have you?
Yeah, I put them in the safe now, but yeah, I've kept them in the sock drawer.
I shouldn't have said that.
Seems like a good place to keep. Yeah.
Very, very blokey. Coming from Yorkshire, did you know where Yorkshire finished in the London 2012 medal table?
Yeah,
Was it 12th?
10?
It was 12th. Yeah, you finished ahead of Jamaica.
Yeah, we were a bit higher than that. We sometimes cheat it because if there's one person in the rowing 8, then we claim the whole team. But,
Oh, I love it.
no, but we did come 12th. It's a good sporting nation, well, good sporting county.
Very good sporting nation.
One thing that we've been really proud of is actually coming from Yorkshire, and we've been very lucky in our sporting careers that we've come from Yorkshire. The Yorkshire sporting culture is incredible. When I was a kid, I could cycle down to the corner of my road and be a group of 50 riders going out cycling into the Yorkshire Dales, and I could meet running groups of 10, 15 people on a Saturday and a Tuesday evening, and it was incredible to be part of, and that's helped us a lot.
Mm-hmm. And just on the running, is there any moves to maybe a marathon or a 10K? Is that in the locker somewhere, or?
Possibly. Obviously, the Olympics is
Tokyo at the moment.
Yeah, it's the big deal in triathlon, but I think, especially over the next 2 years, we've both got a chance to try a few different things, and I'd like to do a bit more running again, have a crack at some running races. A marathon at some point, just some cross country. I love doing cross country. So when I get a chance to have a winter and do some cross country, I'm looking forward to that, and also some other triathlon as well.
So on the Olympics still, for everyone at home, you wake up in the morning of the day of an Olympic final, discuss.
So, fortunately, the 3 times I've done it, and the 2 times where obviously I've been there to try and win the race, I've got there and I've been able to feel like the preparation is done. I felt like my training's gone well. I felt that I'm fit and healthy. All my kit's ready, and I've got the best kit I can possibly have, including the rubber on the soles of my shoes, even though I didn't use them. So you can go to bed that night knowing that you couldn't have done any more, and then then your job's done really. You just got to rest and relax, and wake up the next morning knowing that you've got to go out and execute really. And in London, I woke up and I was like excited. I was like, wow, this is the day I get the chance to win the Olympics, and I couldn't possibly be in a better position to do it.
So you weren't too nervous?
No, I can't remember being too nervous either time. I think it's almost like a state of calm that you just got to go out and do what you've got to do.
You're ready to go. And in terms of, so I'm asking you both here, because in terms of your tactics for Rio, was it to work together, or was it because you went off very hard very early? Was it just as, I don't want to say as agricultural as that, but it was just go hard early?
Tactics were very, very simple.
Was good to go hard early.
The first tactic really is to make it as hard a race as possible and make it an all-round triathlon, so obviously it doesn't come down just to a running race. And we actually stood on the start line next to each other before the race, and the last thing I said to Alistair was, hopefully I'll see you later, otherwise both of us are going to mess up somehow. And then we knew if we could get the pack and the swim and the bike down to a small number, then obviously got more chance of winning. And we came out the swim, and it wasn't that split up. And the first half of the bike, we went very, very hard, and then it got down to a group of 12 of us quite quickly. And then the race was over for the guys behind them, for the other 42 people in the race. That was it for them, and that was our tactics that we wanted to execute, and it went very well in the end. And then we got rid of the French guy after about 1.5 kilometres in the run, and then it was between the 2 of us. So at that point, you think it's going great.
I think that deserves a round of applause.
Thank you.
So, I don't know, do you have any superstitions, either of you? Some people know Paula Radcliffe wore long socks and had to wear certain jewellery. Any use?
No, not really.
I've got a little one. My only one is I can't use an odd-numbered locker. I only use an even-number locker. But luckily for Rio, there's no lockers. I didn't use any, so I didn't have to have that one. But if there's only odd numbers left in the changing rooms to go swimming, I can't use the locker. I just take my stuff with me, which is stupid.
I've had them over the years, but being a professional athlete for a long time, you tend to kind of weed them out because they stop working. I had one up to about the Olympics in 2008. I had a pair of racing flats that had a pair of old Adizero Pros, remember them? From back in the day. And every race I'd worn them at, I'd come on the podium. And even though there'd been races in between, I hadn't come on the podium. For some reason, I hadn't worn those shoes. I think they were getting a bit old, to be honest. And I was like, well, last race is going to be at the Beijing Olympics. And I wore them and came 12th and never wore them again.
That was the end of that.
That was the end of that, and superstitions.
So for everybody watching back home, we're going to throw this to the floor now. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions from the guys. And remember, the question that I do read out will name the names at the end of the show. And if you're one of the lucky ones, you will be getting a prize. So, hi Ali and Johnny. If you were told you could only do one discipline from triathlon for the rest of your life or your career, which would it be and why?
For me, running. I absolutely love to run. I love the freedom of running. You put your shoes on and your kit and you can run anywhere, explore anywhere. If you're in London, like today, we just went out for a run a couple of hours ago around St Paul's, and it was beautiful. So I love running. I love cycling as well, but running is my favourite.
So it'd be running?
Yeah, for me it'd be running as well.
Yeah.
The simplicity of it, just being able to get out, that sense of kind of freedom and exploring. I'd really miss riding my bike as well, but running would be always the one I chose, I think.
Okay, we're going to take one more question. Cheers, guys. When you really don't want to go out and train, how do you get yourself motivated? And that could be for everybody watching, I think.
Well, normally it's it's part of our habit. It's our routine that we do day in, day out. So you're not really motivating yourself to go out and train. You're just doing it. There are days when it's tough, when the weather might be bad or you're a bit tired. But I think there's a few things. I think obviously it's important to have some kind of goal. So having a race coming up is, that gets you out the door because you want to achieve. meeting people to do it. You know, it forces you to be there at a certain time, certain place. I think that's really important. And training with good people. We're really lucky, obviously, to be able to train with each other, but somehow have some great people around us that we can go out and train with. And you know, that social aspect of it is a fantastic motivator.
Training together as brothers, does it get tough at times?
It does occasionally. One of us, normally one of us has got something wrong. So if you've got a little niggle or a little injury you're worried about, then we tend to fight and fall out over stupid things. But we're actually quite good on the whole. We used to fall out a lot more when we were younger over stupid things, you know, board games, badminton in the garden. We hit him over the head with a golf club at one point when I was younger.
Did he deserve it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But no, now we're actually very good. We're very good at controlling it now and knowing, you know, when not to race in sessions and when to race. Because obviously sometimes it's really good to push each other to the limit. But in other times it's good to back off a little bit. And we've learned how to control that over the last few years.
And lastly, looking into the future, Tokyo 2020, what's the plans? I guess it's for both of you to win it.
Yeah, we're both.
Don't want to start a fight, but that's...
Well, for me, I've got a bronze, a silver, so I'm going the right direction now, so that's a good thing. Yeah, I would love to be there in Tokyo in 2020. You know, I've actually, since Cozumel, I went and got some heat testing done 10 days ago to make sure I'd recovered from that and to realise how I can race in the heat of Tokyo. So I suppose you could say my preparations kind of started. But we've both had a quite long break this year, which I think was important to refresh the mind and the body. And then, yeah, hopefully I'll be there in Tokyo and one last attempt at winning the Olympic gold medal and try not to get beaten by him again.
Ali, have you anything to say on that?
Obviously, you know, I think I want to be in Tokyo, and
you'll only be coming into your prime as well.
Exactly.
You're early 30s for endurance.
Yeah, I think I'm still on the way up, to be honest. So
it'll be over the hill.
And obviously, if I go, you know, I'll be going to try and win. But you know, it's quite a long time, 4 years between now and then, and the chance to try some slightly different things in sport, like a few more kind of running races and some longer distance triathlon, which I'm really excited about for the next couple of years before I kind of decide to really focus on Tokyo or not.
On that winning note, guys, we're going to leave it there for the time being, and I'm going to borrow Angus, and we're going to now, the main part of the evening, we're going to look at the new Supernova shoe. So Angus, can I borrow you a minute?
Certainly.
Angus, can you walk us through the features and benefits of the new Supernova?
Well, of course, but basically it really started with just sports science.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of research that's been already put into the market on a lot of our products, like the Adios Boost, like the Ultra Boost, and a lot of the upgrade on the Supernova here was really about bringing a lot of this knowledge and insights into the product to really enhance it. And what we really looked into, one of the key areas here was the Achilles area.
Yep.
And that, I mean, the Achilles is the most efficient tendon in the body. It's one of the most important tendons for a runner. And the most important thing for us is to make sure that you don't have any irritation. So the way we construct the Achilles and the way we construct the heel counter here is we give you all the support we need, but it allows your Achilles to just move naturally and not cause you any problems. Then on the rest of the upper, it was really all about building on the learnings about how the foot moves during running. So we've learned a lot with some of our Aramis technology about how the foot changes shape during the running gait. So what we've done here with the cage here and also the engineered mesh is basically ensure that we can provide the support you need, but also allow your foot to naturally move like it needs to. And then our key technology, Boost, basically the big goal here was to put more boost underfoot. We know the key benefits of Boost. It's more durable, it has higher energy return, and obviously it doesn't have this temperature problem that alternative foams have.
Because we have got more boost in this shoe, isn't it? It's 70% now.
Yeah, so it's been a big increase over the previous models, and you know, I think that's a huge improvement. And all our runners are telling us this just gives us a better ride, more energy, and just overall a better product. I mean, another key thing that we worked on was on the outsole.
Yeah.
So we have the Continental rubber here, which we've already talked a lot about. One key aspect was about bringing the stretch web construction, which we've already got in the Ultra Boost. The key benefits here is just about creating a much smoother ride. But another really key benefit is that no two people's feet are the same. So you've got two people with the same shoe size, but some people have an Egyptian toe and some people have a Roman toe. I can't remember which one's which, but one is when your big toe is the longest, and one is when your second or middle toe is longer. And what that means is that you may have the same foot length as someone else, but where your foot stretches and flexes is totally different. So rather than have big, deep flex grooves like you see in a lot of competitor shoes, this web basically adapts to your natural foot. So to sum it up, that's the kind of key benefits and things that we've put into the Supernova.
And looking at the shoe, there seems to be an awful lot of insight from the Ultra Boost.
Yeah.
I mean, where does this shoe sit? Is it in between the Ultra Boost and maybe the Addy Zero range, or is it closer to the Addy Zero range, or does it sit right in the middle?
I mean, here, this is basically your everyday neutral running shoe. This is the shoe for everyone. I mean, that's the key goal here. And I think that's one of the big things we proved. We've tested this globally. We've tested this with a wide group of people. In fact, one of the big things we looked at was adjusting the fit to make it a little bit more accommodating. It's a little bit roomier now. So really, this is our workhorse. This is the workhorse of the brand and the shoe that really is going to work for most people.
So this is a shoe that athletes will wear pretty much every day training?
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, athletes have got, obviously, running as their business, or the guys here, it's triathlon. So they need a lot of different running shoes for different environments. We've got fell runners here, so they also do a lot of training on the fells. But the Supernova is a key part of any runner's training regime.
Well, as luck would have it, we've actually got two athletes right behind you. So if I can bring the boys up now, and just, guys, give us your initial impressions of this shoe. What's your thoughts on it?
It looks great. I've actually been in for a run in this afternoon.
So your secondary impressions of this shoe?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to run in a lot of Adidas shoes over the years, and this is the new Glide, and it's that, I think it does what it says on the tin. You know, it's just a really good, simple, although I know a lot of technology goes into it, but shoe for the everyday runner. Like for me to be able to go out and you know, do most of my miles in day in, day out. Enough cushioning with all the boost to be all right on the road. A bit higher at the back, give you a bit of heel lift, a bit easier on the Achilles and stuff. Just enough kind of grip for a bit of off-road as well. So yeah, just a really, really nice, yeah, very, very usable shoe.
Johnny?
Yeah, I think it looks very good. Obviously, as an athlete who runs 10, 11 hours a week sometimes, you need a comfy shoe. And I tried it a couple of hours ago. It was very, very comfy. Obviously, you're scared of injury quite a lot as an athlete, and to have the Achilles at the back, so it's not going to rub on your Achilles like some shoes did before. The boost, I really, really like the boost, because again, to avoid injury, you want a consistent shoe that's the same. When I change my shoes probably every 6 weeks. So you want sort of shoe that's going to be the same on the first day you run with it, and then the last day you run with it. And with Boost, you get that. And so yeah, I think it's a real good, solid shoe that I like doing my longer runs in it, because again, you know, when you're running for an hour 40 is my longest run. You want a shoe that's comfy and is not going to hurt your feet, and it's going to be good for the legs. And I think it's a good shoe for that.
Lovely. Now, Angus, back to you on this one. The guys have mentioned Boost. So for everyone at home, Angus, can you walk through exactly what Boost is in layman's terms?
Well, I would start by saying what it's not. I mean, we've had EVA for 25 years in our industry, and it's the dominant foam on the market. So it doesn't matter what company or brand are selling running shoes, EVA is what they've been using. And we basically reached the limit, and we needed something dramatically different, and that's where Boost came in. It's a totally different foam, a totally different chemistry, and what we have is basically approximately 2,500 pellets in a shoe. Each individual pellet is fused together, and this is what gives it this unique durability and the unique energy return. I mean, a key thing we do, obviously working with elite athletes, we test with athletes, use their feedback in the development, but we also do a lot of research with universities. So we have a big partnership with Loughborough University, where we do a lot of work with the sports science, and a lot of my colleagues have actually come out of Loughborough University. But we also have a university in Calgary in Canada that we partner with. And a lot of the time we work and we pay them to do a study into our technology to make sure it's going to work. And Calgary basically came up with this study, not came up with the study, they did the study, and the results showed that there was a 1% improvement in running economy with Boost. And this is a pretty major deal, because the only thing that had ever been proven before this was to reduce the weight of a shoe by 100 grams. So this was kind of a big moment for us. I think the world records in the marathon all being run in Boost is probably a good example of why.
And we say, sorry, running economy in layman's terms, if two guys are on the two identical runners are on different treadmills, one wearing Boost, one wearing EVA, at the same pace, for the same distance, one will use less oxygen. That's more or less what we're saying in terms of running economy.
Yeah, so exactly. Running economy is a company, we're trying to talk about what does it mean. These guys know about it because it's important for their business, basically, and their job. Running economy is like fuel economy in a car. You've got a fuel tank, you've got an energy tank in your body. You've only got so much energy. And just like a fuel tank, if you, at some point, you can't drive any further or you can't drive too fast. So if you can improve running economy, it basically means you can run faster for longer. So if we took the two Brownlee guys here, brothers, and we stuck one of them on a running machine at a certain speed in a pair of EVA shoes, and we put the other in Boost, the question is what would happen. If they just kept on running, eventually one of them would fall off the back of the running machine, and it wouldn't be the one that was running in Boost. So I think that's basically trying to explain how the running economy works. I think one of the interesting things is a lot of universities, a lot of other brands have tried to challenge this. We've seen a lot of studies now that are totally independent from Adidas, but also proving exactly the same thing about this improvement in running economy. So it's a really exciting thing that we have with Boost technology.
Fantastic. Now, for all the viewers that have joined midway through, we're running a competition, compliments of Wiggle, where 4 lucky winners who get their question read out are going to receive a pair of these fantastic new Supernova shoes. So it's over to the guys again for 2 more questions, so hopefully not too controversial. Hi chaps, if you could be any other sportsman, dead or alive, who would it be?
I think first one that comes to mind for me is Haile Gebrselassie. I just think, obviously, in terms of his sporting achievements, absolutely incredible, and yeah, across different disciplines, cross country, track, marathon, and to see kind of where he's come from, I just think it would have been incredible, basically, to come from living in rural Ethiopia to then, traveling the world,
Winning everything.
and winning everything on the biggest stage at the Olympics, and then going home, and I've been lucky enough to visit Ethiopia and see the kind of impact he has on the world around him, which is amazing as well.
Good answer.
Well, Haile Gebrselassie is a very good one.
You can't copy.
I'm going to go completely different.
Go for it.
Billy Bremner.
Billy Bremner.
He's a Leeds United footballer who was back in the day when Leeds United were good. So I'd quite like to see Leeds United at the peak and be able to play with that team. I know it's got nothing to do with running, but he's a hero of mine.
Happy days. So 1 footballer and 1 athlete. So, guys, the winners of the competition, please check your Facebook inbox, because you will have received a message, or in the process of receiving a message from Wiggle, just to say that you've won. Which leaves me to say, just from everybody watching at home, a massive thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Angus, again, thanks for coming up all the way from Herzog. It's brilliant seeing you. And guys, last of all, Ali, Johnny, many, many thanks. If you weren't lucky enough to win a prize, you can still buy your Supernova shoe on wiggle.com. And don't forget to give us a wee like on Facebook. All the very best. Bye.